So here's the big bombshell. In the interview, if you did not hear it, Tom Brady was asked by the king of all media, Howard Stern, when you decided to go.
I don't think there was a final decision, until it happened. But I would say I probably knew before the start of last season that it was my last year. I knew that, it was just our time was coming to an end.
So before the season started, put his house up for sale, that's when he made the decision. But you just don't make a decision then. Doors are open. What they say is before people have affairs, physically, they have emotional affairs, right? You start flirting a little bit before you have the affair. Well, January 2018, ESPN, the magazine, multiple or at least one coach up the food chain. We could win Super Bowls with a lot of quarterbacks. That opened the door to the flirting. That opened the door to opportunities. It's the Kevin Durant, Draymond Green fight. It didn't decide it, but it opened up the door. And once the door gets open and people start flirting with you and sending you roses and it's not as ideal. The door has to be open. Tom Brady had never considered leaving. He joked about it. He used to say it's the best place. January 2018, New England coaches sell him out in an article. It opened the door to the flirting. And then, of course, he'd just been MVP, took a pay cut, been doing that for 10 years, reads the article, and he's thinking, what? Well, you don't appreciate me? And then, of course, 3 weeks later, he throws for 500 yards, his best Super Bowl performance, never punts, and they lose because Bill Belichick won't play Malcolm Butler, or at least that's what players thought. So now, I've been taking a pay cut. You say you could win with multiple quarterbacks, and I have the best game of my career in the playoffs. We don't punt, and because you and your rigidity won't play Malcolm Butler, we lose. Now, it's not just flirting. It's meeting for coffee. Now it's maybe we should have a cocktail. You're sliding into DMs. Following season, he wins a Super Bowl, and they won't give him a friendly deal after the Rams Super Bowl. Then he makes his decision. Now it's over. But all these affairs, it starts by opening the door. And that article made him go, whoa, time out. I'm the best ever. I'm taking pay cuts. And you don't appreciate me. And I'll tell you what appreciation means. I watched a great documentary last night. It was called American Factory. It's fantastic. Best documentary I've seen in a long time. And I watch a lot of documentaries. And it's about basically a Dayton, Ohio, a factory closes, middle America, small town kind of, not that small. And then a Chinese billionaire comes in, communist country, and opens up a factory. And he is unhappy with how inefficient the American system is. But he forgets that the American system is not communism, and the American system is 8 hours a day, and Americans want to feel appreciated. But what was fascinating about it, of the many things that were fascinating, the workers didn't want to be rich. That wasn't about it. But they didn't feel appreciated by the Chinese billionaire. And they felt appreciated by general managers before they closed, GM before they closed. That feeling appreciated matters. Tom Brady never asked to be the highest paid. Those workers in Dayton, Ohio, never asked to be the highest paid. It wasn't about that. But can you appreciate me going to work head down, doing a repetitive job over and over and over? I have value too. Tom never asked to be royalty. He was never asked to be royalty. He never asked. He carried your water. He took pay cuts. He would always bite his tongue when people asked him out after games about certain situations. He would say, well, whatever coach says. But that article is like, we don't even appreciate you. That opened the door. People need to feel appreciated. Tom wasn't, and he decided after winning that Super Bowl against the Rams, he did not play well. He'd won a Super Bowl, but once New England wouldn't even give him the contract he wanted, an extra year, boom, out, house up, made his decision. But Tom Brady is a very successful guy, and he's married to a supermodel, and they have beautiful kids, blah, blah, blah. But you would think, everybody always makes fun of the National Enquirer and the gossip magazines. But about 2 years ago, I would see it at the grocery store. I'd look over. When I go to the grocery store, I'm over at Ralph's in Los Angeles. I look over, and it's like Tom Brady and Giselle. They are fighting like crazy. They are squabbling. This thing is in trouble. Oh, what do you know? They were right. Tom Brady talks about Giselle at one point a couple years ago not happy with Tommy, and she put her foot down.
She didn't feel like I was doing my part for the family. And she felt like I would play football all season, and she would take care of the house. And then all of a sudden, when the season would end, I'd be like, great, let me get into all my other business activities. I had to, check myself because she's like, I have goals and dreams, too. It's just not to, do these things either. So you better start, taking care of things at the house. She actually wrote me a letter, and it was a very thought-out letter that, she wrote it to me, and I still have it. And, I keep it in a drawer, and I read it, and it's a very heartfelt letter for her to say, this is where I'm at in our marriage.
My first takeaway is when a wife writes a letter, they got one bag packed. If they get it notarized before you get home, it's over. But she had one bag packed. And my second thought is, Lord, if Tom Brady's wife isn't happy, guys, we're screwed. I mean, if Tom Brady's driving home and the wife's like, I got to write a letter. This guy is not delivering enough in our marriage. It's over for me. I might as well go to an attorney driving home today. If she's not satisfied with Tom Brady, I'm going right to an attorney after the show today. So Brady, apparently, that's why he skipped the OTAs. Remember a couple years ago he skipped OTAs. Everybody's like, it's Belichick. No, it's Giselle. Giselle was writing letters. And let me tell you something. This has only happened about once or twice in my life. And it's the worst phone call you can ever get from your wife. This is the worst. We need to talk when you get home. I mean, honestly, I stop off at a liquor store and start drinking. I mean, I've had that happen to me twice. We need to talk when you get home. And I'm like, I don't have a burner account. I'm not having an affair. Is the house on fire? No, she'd have more. She'd be screaming. Basically, Giselle did the only thing worse than that phone call, which is she wrote a letter and handed it to him. I've had one of those too. Not this wife. But that's why he skipped the OTAs. Instead of throwing his 9,000th slot route in Costa Rica in the offseason to Julian Edelman, he decided to stay home, hang out with the family, connect with the family. But it is nice to know that we've been talking, Joy and I have been talking over the last couple of weeks about not only do we hope we're creating normalcy for you, but you're certainly creating it for us. You're giving us a purpose. But it is nice to know that the supermodel and the greatest football player of all time, they're dealing with the same crap all of us are. They're writing letters. We need to talk when you get home. I'm doing too much. You're not doing enough. It makes me like Brady even more. He's even a little more relatable today. Tom Brady talked about legacy. And to me, we all want to be thought of well, right? But legacy, as a broadcaster told me years and years ago, a very famous broadcaster, said legacy is mostly about ego and vanity. You care how others think of you. And if you really are good at your job, you don't worry much about that. I mean, we're all, nobody likes to be ripped, right? You don't like to be heard all day, people ripping you. But if you're really secure in who you are, you don't care a lot about legacy. So Tom Brady, Howard was talking about why would you leave New England? You could go to Tampa and struggle your legacy. And here was Tom's perfect response.
I never cared about legacy. I mean, I could give about. I never once when I was in high school said, man, I can't wait for what my football legacy looks like. I mean, it's just not me. That's not my personality. So why would I choose a different place? It's because it was just time. I don't know what to say other than that. I had done everything. I accomplished everything I could in 2 decades with an incredible organization, incredible group of people, and that will never change. And no one can ever take that away from me. No one can ever take those experience or Super Bowl championships away from us.
Tom, big family, feels loved. Tom loves many. He's loved by many. He's secure in himself. Therefore, legacy doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He wants to win games and drive home and be with his wife and his kids and talk to his dad and his sisters. That's why Tom is secure in himself. That's why he's not thin-skinned. Legacy doesn't matter. Take the other quarterback in the all-decade team, Aaron Rodgers, who said 2 days ago, quote, "My thing is, legacy is really important." Aaron Rodgers has a well-documented struggle with his family. Isn't married, doesn't have kids. Legacy matters. It really does. Who's thin-skinned? Aaron. Who's not? Tom. Who has a wide net of people there supporting him? Tom. Who fires back at people you'd think would be close to him, brother or family? Aaron. It says a lot that Tom Brady and anybody listening, if you're really doing it right, and it's not just about you, and you've got partnerships and kids, or you don't have to have kids, or friends, a wide social net or a wide family net, and you feel loved and you love, you don't give a rip about what people say about you. Michael Jordan's had the same 8 buddies as friends forever. Jordan's got this incredibly tight social circle. LeBron, by the way, has the same 4 buddies he's had since high school. You think those guys are sitting around worrying what people think about him? You worry about that stuff when it's about you. And for Brady, it's always been about sacrificing and others as much as him.